In a podcast, no one can hear you scream. Two spooky boys arm their crossbows and prepare to hunt monsters. Sink your fangs into this new season as we explore the world of monsters in film. From aliens to werewolves, these brothers are getting grim and cooking up some good new content. You may have heard a howl in the distance, but you haven't heard from us. Not us, united. Yo, is this Mike hot, bro?
Yeah, it always is. It always is.
Not as hot as my boy Mikey, though. Come on, let's go.
Yo, from the movie,
We're back.
from the movie Lost Boys, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
You want to just get right into it?
I think we should just get right into it because, every time you start an episode, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to start this episode with this little teaser.
Okay.
If you ever wanted to watch a movie that has the essence of Nikki K, just a boiled down hour and a half.
This is the distilled
Distilled Nikki K.
If you just boiled me alive.
Yeah, if you just want a quick shot of Nikki K in your system.
And I'm no longer alive.
Yeah.
But my essence is in a bottle.
Yeah.
It would be this
It would
movie.
be the 87 movie, The
That is
Lost
correct.
Boys. If there was a movie to show your funeral, it would probably be this.
You really think so?
That and then About Time.
After 108 episodes, this is the movie. I respect it.
No, brother, you texted me and you're like, you sent me a picture of like the Lost Boys poster. And it's like,
Yeah.
if you don't think of this picture when you think of me, you don't know me.
Look, I had a weird fascination. I wouldn't even call it weird. Bro's just dope. Kiefer Sutherland. Huge fan.
Yeah.
I got hooked on the show 24 when he was really popular as my boy
Mr.
Jack
24,
Barrett,
yeah.
a.k.a. the first John Wick.
Sure.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's fair.
He basically solved like all of
His case
terrorism
in 24
ever
Yeah, in 24 hours.
in 24 hours.
Yeah, that's
and
crazy.
it was surprisingly not like a filler. For 24 episode seasons, those are pretty bulky.
Yeah.
Each an hour long. It was
Each
just
felt-
fascinating. So then I
Oh,
did
wow.
a deep dive. My boy Kiefer Sutherland, he did some stuff.
What? Like what?
Some of my favorite movies.
Okay.
So Stand By Me.
Oh, yeah.
He's the bad guy in Stand By Me.
Iconic.
There's a movie he makes with Joel Schumacher again, the director of this movie, The Lost Boys, but it's called Flatliners,
Oh, yeah.
where a bunch of doctors purposely stop their hearts for like a period of time to see how long they can go before being. They're just
Yeah.
med students trying to test out what happens in the afterlife, kind of a thing. Super good.
Yeah.
And then I even did like The Young Guns with Emilio Estevez
Man,
and all those guys.
Yeah. You're losing me a little bit.
Well, these were before you were born.
They're before you were born,
They
too.
were before I was born, but like for some reason you're like carbon date, like you are.
I'm
you know,
96.
like 96. I don't watch movies before 96.
No, but I do.
Yeah, but
I
not like you don't live them like I did.
It's different. That's exactly what I think encapsulates this movie.
Yeah.
Is that like, even there's a few years difference between you and I. I think you're catching like the tail end of like the 80s
Yeah.
growing up, and I'm like into.
Yeah, we're
like,
not
the
catching you at a
2000s.
KISS concert.
No.
Never.
No.
Unless you're with your boy. Me.
Unless me and Nikki K got free tickets.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, so I'm like, even though it's like the few years difference, I'm like more 2000s, like
Yeah.
computer.
Crunchy iPad kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like 80s rocker.
Oh, 100%.
So it's like there is enough of a divide.
Yeah.
Which is really, I think really comes out because I don't think I've seen a lot of 80 movies
I can
in
help
general.
you. I can help you.
So
It's prime. I think the reason you don't is the classics aren't necessarily critically like successful.
sure.
I think they're more cult classics.
Was the thing in the 80s? Because like
yes.
okay, well there
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one, and it's like, oh, here's another.
Or it was just right on the tail end.
It was
of
probably
the
it's
70s.
it's in the same
Yes.
idea
Yes.
in my mind.
I still think that The Thing was probably the best monster movie we're going to talk about in this
probably.
film.
From
season.
like a critic,
But
but the Lost Boys.
The Lost Boys might be just the most personal.
I
like,
thought Van Helsing was like your.
that
movie.
was my cup of tea.
It's a different cup of tea though.
It is.
Because like Lost Boys is like, oh, this is just 80s Nick.
Yeah.
If you were a teenager in the 80s,
I am a frog brother.
You are, yeah.
Yeah.
You're like the third member. They just don't show. You
I'm-
got the lead scene. You're in
100%.
it. So like you just would be this way with the leather jacket and the long
100%.
hair and like just the way they're like, hey, you want to kill some vampires? And it's just like, yeah, dude, that's Nick. Oh no, you would be a vampire though. You would be, you'd be the
part of
Kiefer Sutherland
David's
character.
gang.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
you'd be riding the motorcycle on the beach.
Oh yeah,
And it's just,
on the canyon. Yeah.
yeah,
And just that, like,
iconic.
Let's just get into this.
Let's do it.
This is a movie about vampires.
Yeah.
There you go. Spoiler warning.
Yeah.
But it's also a tale of, like, I don't want to say coming of age, because we have two brothers.
Yeah.
So you kind of have a younger brother who is kind of coming of age, and then you have the older brother who is going through some things. And I don't know, it's hard to pinpoint exactly what kind of genre you would call this, because
it's in that realm.
Yeah.
It's not as coming of age as like Stand By Me.
Right.
Or others. Like
Yeah.
Sandlot. Like,
I wish-
like things like that.
I wish the Academy or the whatever on IMDb would just come up with a genre called vibes.
Oh yeah. But
Because
vibes are so different.
There are just movies that are a vibe.
Could you say, could you classify vibes differently? Like this is a vibe. But also Bram Stoker's Dracula is a vibe.
That's true.
But also like,
I think if mood, I don't know, it'd be tricky because I think it would be up to personal preference. But I think if there are prominent moods, because I would even say like Blade Runner 2049 is like
it's a vibe.
a vibe movie.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just something I would say parts of Dune felt like a vibe,
Because
you
it's
know,
just
like
letting you sit in the world.
There's just like
for a second.
Or there's just shots of like no characters, and you're getting like the beginning of this movie is like you find out that you're basically being a vampire because they're flying through the, you know,
I did not get that.
because they're like flying to the amusement park or whatever.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Wow.
Or like every time they go into the cave, that's them flying in or that's them flying out.
Cool.
They even do at one point the shot that goes into the cave. If you look closely when they come out, it's reversed because the waves are like going backwards.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. I saw that.
Like,
I saw that.
They didn't film it.
I thought that was an artistic design.
Oh, okay. I mean, it could be, but I think
like,
that was them exiting the. But you wouldn't see that if you were flying backwards. You would.
Yeah.
They would be seeing
Going the other way.
They're just
You know,
showing
unless
that
you're
they're
flying,
leaving.
like, your back going towards the end of the cave.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe it's just the nostalgia of it too that gives it that. Because Goonies in some ways is like that as well, and I feel like there's a lot of Goonies.
in
I mean,
this.
there's even same actors. One of the Frog Brothers is
Mr. Goonie.
Corey. Is it Corey Feldman? Yeah, Corey Feldman. That's the Frog Brother. He's in the Goonies.
The Goonies.
He might be in Stand By Me too. Now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah. That dude had
Is it the one that's got the bandana?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one that talks like a 40-year-old
one
man,
that's
but
like-
it's like
Hey, you better not get into any vampires.
yeah, that's the one.
Your brother's a vampire. You better kill him. That's the thing about the movie. It just goes for it.
Yeah, 100%.
It doesn't beat around the bush.
Yes.
And sometimes it like doesn't. I don't want to no pun intended. Maybe not flesh out certain things.
Yeah.
But it just kind of just like, hey, there's vampires here.
Yeah.
And you're just gonna go with it. And like some people in the town kind of know those vampires, and some people in the town are just like,
Yeah, whatever.
yeah. And so it just kind of throws you into it, and you just go. And there's things like him, Michael, iconic.
Yes.
Interacting with the vampires is just like you just kind of gotta roll with it, and
Yeah.
that's a vibe, as you say.
I agree.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite music sometimes when I am just needing to recharge, I like really angsty music or just angsty feelings in general. And this movie has a lot of angst.
Oh yeah, that's probably the subcategory of this movie.
Yeah, I mean, there's like this level of like rebelling against, the parents, and there's kind of a catalyst of like the two brothers are moving with their mom because their parents got
From
a divorce,
Phoenix.
and so they're
Go easy.
shout out to the old Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
The old Diamondbacks from down under.
That's what we're called.
There they are. But there's this catalyst of like nothing matters anymore.
Yeah.
Like, how do we find stability?
Sure.
And so they're kind of searching for that. And so the two brothers find that in different ways. And one of the brothers does it specifically Michael does it in a way that like as a teenager, it makes perfect sense
Yeah.
why you would say, hey, I want to date this girl. And this guy's like, well, she's my girl. Why don't we ride bikes?
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, I am going to ride bikes with this guy.
I will.
Like, clearly, you know, there's something nefarious.
Yeah.
To play. And like, there's 4 dudes on bikes.
Who were like
Like,
hooting
what
and
did you think
hollering
was
and,
going to
like,
happen?
yeah.
You know, but you still are kind of like, no, I get it. Like, I would
Yeah.
take the risk and be like,
As like a
I got to stand up
16-year-old,
for myself.
15-year-old.
I'm prideful,
Yeah.
whatever, you know?
I can ride into like the mist
Yeah.
and like almost fall off a cliff and
Yeah.
then like keep following these people into a cave. I get it.
Exactly. And his growth throughout the whole thing is that he never actually, you know, succumbs to becoming
full
the
vampire.
full vampire.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, he's able to fight it off, whereas everyone else is having like a harder time.
The girl
doing that.
too, like she
Star, that's
yeah,
right.
Star. Sorry, I'm not gonna remember
I mean,
anyone's names.
you
That's
got it.
cool.
Like that's the only person
Sorry.
I can think of that's named Star
Yeah, that's fair.
in all movie history, except for A Star Is Born. But her
But
name
no
isn't
one-
even
yeah,
Star.
that's just
Exactly.
yeah.
She, what's her name? Jamie Gertz.
Jamie Gertz.
She's been in a lot of stuff, but my most iconic memory of her is she is Bill Paxton's fiance in Twister.
oh,
So there you go.
Okay,
A few years later, she's the psychiatrist that's like following him around, and then she's like, "You really like Twisters?" And he's like, "Yeah, I
That's
do."
an exact line from the movie.
And that's another movie. We're not going to get into it, but that's another movie where it's just like, who cares what the plot is?
Yeah, I mean, you're here to see some twisters.
They're cooking.
Yeah, you're here to see some Lost Boys.
Exactly.
And boy, oh boy, do you see some Lost Boys.
And there's kind of this cool take on it. Like when you say Lost Boys, you immediately think of
I thought Neverland. I thought Peter Pan.
And there is like a take on that.
It's like timeless.
They're eternal boys. I mean, that's what they're saying is like, you know, I don't know how long we're supposed to believe David
Has been around.
Yeah. I did notice too, like we're all into spoilers, but towards the end when him and Michael go for a fight, I don't know if they were specifically named that for any
Biblical
things, reason of like, you know, but I don't know if,
because like
doesn't make
Sam
sense.
too is the younger brother, and that's a biblical name.
but then Max is like the bad guy
Yeah.
too. So you're just like, I don't know.
The Max bad guy.
But when David dies, his like facial hair disappears and like he's like looks all young again. I don't know. So maybe he was like transformed when he was a little bit younger. I don't know. But you're typically
Don't age.
They believe that they don't age, so
Yeah.
they could have been around for quite some time.
Yeah, that's it. I didn't know. I didn't really connect the dots of like the title Lost Boys. I knew it was like, okay, well, Peter Pan. That's initially what I
Yeah.
thought. And so yeah, they are this ageless group of teenagers.
Yeah.
Who kind of like just still act and interact with people as teenagers and just cause a ruckus.
And I think if there is a metaphor at the end of this movie at all, it's that we can fight to stay young as much as we can, but we do all grow up
At some point,
You know,
yeah.
at some point. And so the alluring of like you could
Youth.
stay young forever. It's like
You could, but
it's a false hope
Yeah.
that like yes, we should in some part be childlike. I think for forever, we need to still be fun. We don't need to pay taxes just because we have to. You know, like, we have to.
I will
legally.
commit tax fraud.
Like, sorry,
Nick said to pay tax fraud. Okay, it's tax fraud.
But I mean,
But
like,
you, like,
we're not
go
looking
into the system
forward.
and,
you
like,
don't have to
yeah.
look forward to that as like your
Yeah.
sole
Wow,
thing.
that's a great takeaway, honestly.
But I think if that's what they're fighting for in the end, it's like I kind of want to still be rebellious. I still want to. It's like no, he had to end up protecting his family and becoming the man of the house. You know?
That's great.
Loved it.
What about this movie do you think speaks to Nicky K? Like, why has this stuck with you?
Well, there's probably some subconscious things that I can think of where I'm just like, oh yeah, I came from, you know, a divorced family and I was the older brother.
So the man of the house.
And,
you had to kill a vampire named David.
I never had to kill a vampire named David.
Okay, but a different vampire.
But
That's fair.
I'm not going to say I never will have to. I don't know. Maybe there's still a chance for me to be, you know, a vampire killer. Who knows? So I think there's some just like level of resonance, even though that doesn't play a prominent part. I think it does. It sets up for why the mom is in such a state where she could easily fall for
This guy.
Yeah. And not know, like, the town is dangerous. Like, when you walk in, it says murder capital of the world. I mean, they set all these things up, not necessarily trying to, like, hold your hand through it, but you're just sat there going like, hey, so like people are dying. There are now vampires.
Yeah.
And this lady's just looking for a good guy.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, aren't we all? Yeah. But luckily I already found one. He's right here with me. Oh, man.
Oh my gosh. Butterflies.
Michael.
Hey, this wine is delicious, by the way, that you're giving me.
Exactly. Dude, you're going to love it.
I'm feeling...
We're going to party.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be sleeping tonight, but maybe in the morning I'll catch up on some sleep. If there's a vampire in the room,
Yeah.
how fast are you going to try and kill it?
Ooh, good question.
Yeah.
I'd give people a chance.
Yeah, you got to talk a little bit.
Yeah.
You're like, let's
I
write
don't
some
want
dirt
my
bikes.
first experience with a vampire to be like, oh no, there's vampires that exist, killed it.
Okay, so
I kind of want it to be like,
yo,
what the hell?
What's up?
And at least have a minute to like accept that like the supernatural creatures
You're a vampire?
of the night are...
They can be redeemable. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so let's say you walk into a comic shop.
Okay.
You're looking for some Superman. And then two...
I think I'm looking for a Batman number 45. There's only 4 of those in existence.
Yeah, well, 5
Yeah.
if you count the one I got at home.
I'm actually looking for the 4th one. I've already got 3.
Oh, yeah. This guy's so cool. Anyways, there's vampires in this town. Better look out.
That was well written. Get out of here.
I just love...
This is the movie where I will defend the undefendable.
Okay, yeah, well, obviously. I just... You kind of have to buy it. Because at some point, it's just like...
How long do you want this to drag out?
What?
Well, no, I'm just saying, like...
This movie?
At what point
Yeah.
do you... I mean, this movie is like...
No
more than 90 minutes.
I think, and that's what it needs to be. If there's an extra 20 minutes, it doesn't feel...
Yeah, what would you add, you know? So I think it was just...
So you kind of have to be like, hey, read
Hey,
this
thought I'd
comic
let you
book.
know, city council's riddled, riddled with ghouls, baby.
Hey, that's any city, am I right, brother?
True.
Yeah, oh man, there's some lines. But there's a few lines when Sam finds out that Michael is a vampire.
Yeah.
And the frog squad or whatever it is
Yeah.
are like, you got to kill your brother.
You gotta kill your brother.
Or else I will. Your brother's a blood-sucking vampire. That's what it was, something like that. Blood-sucking vampire. He doesn't have a soul.
That's right.
Something along those lines.
Yeah.
I just love the delivery. It's so good.
Yeah. No, there's... I don't know. It's not trying to be the quintessential vampire movie. It's not trying to steal from anything. And I think that's what makes it fresh, is there's not... Like this... I don't want to like get off on too many tangents, but we are Not Us United.
Yeah.
This
Adam will get mad at us again, it's
Nosferatu movie
Oh, yeah.
looks cool, but I think I kind of already know
What's going
the story because I've kind of read Dracula. I'm not saying it's going to be the exact same, but the idea that this mysterious vampire is like seducing a woman in olden Victorian. I mean, that's like 80% of Dracula.
Bram Stoker's, yeah.
So like, yeah, they might change it that he's like not trying to sleep with her. He just wants to suck her blood.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's still not like changing the 80% of
No.
Dracula. You know what I mean? Like, that's obviously whatever, chicken and the egg. I don't remember which one came first, but I'm like, I've already seen this movie. Now, will I still check it out? Probably, because everyone's saying that it's good. But Lost Boys, I can't look at that and go,
I've done before.
you know.
Yeah.
But I also would be totally fine if like somebody's like, I've never seen Lost Boys, I'm never gonna watch it. It's like, okay. Like, it's not like a life-changing
cinema
movie.
experience.
Like,
unless
totally
you're doing a 10-episode series where
Yeah.
you're talking about monsters and your bro's like, hey, I want to see a movie.
Yeah,
And you're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Lost Boys. Because I think it at least, it's so interesting because we like kind of have been centering on Dracula this...
how could we not?
Yeah, okay, exactly. Like it's permeated the culture
He seduced us all.
he got us.
He got us.
To where you can make a movie and be like, oh, there's vampires in it, and a character drinks blood, and you're like, cool, I understand what's going on. You can't do that with like a lot of other.
That is true.
creatures.
Like, lore has become so known.
Whereas in 15 minutes, someone could say, "There's a comic book about vampires," and you're like, "Oh, cool, got it."
Yeah.
I
There,
get it.
There can be some changes to, like, when do you become a vampire? Do you automatically become one if you're
Yeah,
bit
the
or
rules you
whatever?
kind of learn along the way, but the base of a vampire is pretty clear.
Because this movie does uniquely avoid the bite.
Yes,
You do start becoming a vampire by
Before
just
you-
drinking the
yeah.
blood of
Yeah, yeah.
a vampire.
yes, and you don't necessarily
you
become full
until you
get your first
you
kill.
bite.
Michael,
but you don't have to
kill somebody, Michael. We're in a tree. Look, these people
That's
are
pretty
on
close.
fire.
Yeah. That's pretty close.
Michael. Now you see who we really are.
And that was what was kind of funny. Like, we know they're vampires, but the movie is like it lets you go for a whole hour before they like feed.
Yeah.
And then they're like, we thought we'd just let you know who we are. And we're like,
No, we figured that out.
I figured it out. I had a pretty good idea. But I do like how the...
Hey, quick thing, already knew.
Yeah.
Well,
And then Michael's
Michael
just
didn't
like,
think.
what the hell?
Wait, I thought I was just floating. I thought this
It's
was
like you tried to kill your brother and suck his blood. You didn't have any idea you might be a vampire.
What the heck, dude? There's no way I'm a vampire. I was just floating out the window.
Exactly.
Sam, don't call mom.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes this a fun movie is there's still these little like, my mom's trying to go on a date and we're ruining it because, divorce. And it's like, no, you're ruining it because you're turning into a vampire and you're flying. And it's tied into all the angst of just being a teenager too.
Yeah.
So I think it's good in that regard. And so maybe because it didn't take itself so seriously and it just decided to be fun is why I like it.
But it's campy. It's the seriousness where it's like everyone is technically serious in the movie.
Yeah.
But it is so overboard that it is funny.
Yeah, I mean, that leads to the whole, the ending line of the entire film with the grandpas. The one thing I hate about this place is it's always filled with vampires.
Yeah.
Even though he's had multiple conversations with them about things to look out for,
If you
play
think
it
about,
safe.
like,
I
look
never
back.
leave the house, but like when I do, it's to be really close or whatever. And then just to drop that after they kill like 8 vampires is just, it's perfect.
It's iconic.
Like
it's ridiculous.
but it's it's
but it's
absurd.
iconic. Yeah.
Yeah. So like something like that, when you write that in the script, you're like, wait, so you're saying that this guy had context that would have helped
guy
them the
knew they were a
entire
vampire.
movie?
But he's just not going to say
You gonna
it.
save it for the end? Yeah, let's write that.
Yeah, that's great.
It's amazing.
No, it checks out.
And then it made me laugh, and then it fades to black, and I'm just like,
that's
this
it. No,
is
I
insane.
finished the movie, I'm like, no way.
Yeah, dude.
That is the most 80s
incredible.
thing. That's
It's
so
incredible.
crazy.
So I think it's just fun, and that's vampires are tricky because vampires either if you're gonna go fun, they have to be sometimes really silly, or it's just very horror, like
spooky,
spooky, dark. I do think like the Nosferatu is like
the dark version,
the basic template of what you would see for a vampire movie.
Yeah.
The only thing that veers off from that is maybe they try to do a horde version of vampires where it's like a plague, but it's still scary. Maybe we do the Dracula lore, maybe we do whatever. Or you do like romance, and then you get your Twilights and things like that.
Yeah.
Lost Boys is kind of this weird, the campy version that's
Yeah.
not satirical,
No.
but it's
It's also not like your straight arrow.
you could I don't
Vampire.
think it's technically listed as a comedy.
It's like but it's not necessarily a drama either.
Well, I guess IMDb says supernatural horror, teen horror, comedy. So it's more horror as its base genre, but there is comedy.
The mood of it is dark. And
Yeah, I mean, and there's like guts, and I mean, when they
Yeah.
kill that one vampire,
Yeah.
just the first time,
Oh, yeah,
everyone's
like
just
with the one in the
covered in
bathtub?
like
Yeah.
just
and then
oil,
the blood just kind of shoots out. Yeah, maybe
and
it
they
is a
all
horror
and they
movie.
all die different ways, which
yeah,
is
that
super
was
cool.
Yeah. Because like
The bathtub guy like ruined the plumbing for like
Yeah.
the whole house.
Yeah.
Um,
and it's like the vampire couldn't be killed in the same way. Is that what they're saying, or something like that?
It can always be killed the same way. It won't die the same way.
Oh,
and they do
okay.
mention that. They're like, we got to be careful. You never know what to expect. Like, some of these guys just explode. And I think David was the mildest one. Like, he
Yeah,
gets
he just
stabbed
got
and he just
stabbed.
kind of has like a, one last hurrah. But
Yeah.
the rest of them, like, explode or gush or a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know.
I think one thing that we haven't touched on is the Max character.
Yeah.
And the
old-
mystery about it. And I was like, I was honestly going back and forth. I was pretty much on the initially like I think I thought he was a vampire for most of the movie.
Yeah.
But I'm
They
like
kept him in there long enough
Yeah.
that you kind of had to believe it, but then they do the whole scene to make sure that you know that he's not.
but he got invited in, and I was like, as soon as he said that, I was like, is that just a trick? Like,
yeah,
oh,
were you on it?
Are you the man
Is
of
this
the house?
movie smart enough to be clever like that?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Is it
so
clever to be
tricked
like, are
Yeah.
you just overthinking it, or is he just being a goofy guy? It's like, oh, you're the man of the house. Can you invite me in? Mm-hmm. And then they do all the stuff. I'm like, well, they did all the stuff, so you gotta be safe. And then
But then
like
the dog and the hellhounds.
yeah,
Yeah. What are you
but
gonna
then
do?
okay, what pretty much clinched it was when he's at the video shop like halfway through the movie, and then the motorcycle guys are there. You don't see that scene. You don't see it play out, but it's like he's fine and he's alive. Mm-hmm. So obviously something's going on.
Yeah.
But I for a second thought he was a werewolf too. I almost thought he was a werewolf
because of the wolf.
Yeah, and I was like,
Throws you off.
Is he like, because they were kind of clashing against each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, is he the werewolf? And then he's clashing
Yeah,
with
I
the
told
vampire
you guys not to
clan.
be in here, but that was more just to cover his ass.
Yeah,
for like
because I thought it was maybe like
he's the
a
master
clan battle.
vampire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that would have been fun.
I think the only thing that this is missing is it would have been nice to know if the grandpa's line is true, is all the damn vampires. If there were more, if Max was like the head of a sect of them, if he was the head of a lot of them, because we don't get to see any already turned vampires be affected by his death. I think that would have been kind of cool to see, like, maybe just even like a glimpse at the city and you just see like little explosions or something.
Yeah,
that would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Or like just gushes of like fountains of like, oh, we got him. Like we saved the whole city.
Would you rather have the ending that we already have, or a like 3-minute ending where like there's just like going through different parts of the city and then like bodies just kind of like burst?
I don't know.
Because it's iconic the other way too.
I think it's perfect. I mean, as is. That was always the thing that I was like, is it just the 4 dudes that he has as his like gang? Is he trying to just keep like a low profile as vampires? Because they're already, I mean, they can kill whoever they want.
Yeah.
And you can't obviously just kill the entire city.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It was interesting. But I thought they tied it all together really well, because you sit there and you wonder, at first you're almost like, this guy's trying to steal David's girlfriend. Why would he even entertain the idea?
Right.
But then you realize that he is, because there's like some weird subplots. Like Star is supposed to
We're supposed to kill
him.
Yeah.
But I guess if he would the mom have accepted him as, you know,
good
like,
point.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And so there's like some weird subplot stuff, but then why turn him into a vampire to begin with? But then I remembered that he's like, well, if I got both of your kids,
Yes.
then the hope was that you would then be my bride,
Yeah.
you know?
I think either way he wins, because like if
they're dead,
then-
she's got nothing left.
exactly,
If
and she's
they are,
and she can like find this new
then it's
person,
a big
as a
happy
comfort.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I thought that blended everything together, because at first you're sitting there going like, what's Kiefer Sutherland's, like what's David's like motivations for all this, you know, because he tries to almost like seem like kill him a few times on purpose, but then it's just the angsty
Hey, hang on
like
to this train, dog.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love it, dude.
I love just like Michael's, even as a teenager, I'm like, brother, you just got dumb. Whereas like hanging on the
for
train
sure.
afterwards, like, yeah, I'm still here. And then the worms and it's like, oh
Maggots,
yeah, you eating maggots, Michael. You're eating maggots.
Iconic.
Yeah.
It is. You got a Jim Morrison painting in the background, the whole man cave. That was also like
That's pretty
perfect,
vibey.
like teen vibe, you know?
Yeah.
This just takes me back to like the Stranger Things, like why that will always be my favorite show,
Yeah.
because it's just like kids being kids
Yeah.
in that era. Man, no phones. You just leave for like 5. Like that's what I
crazy.
did when
Yeah,
I grew
that's-
up. I
that's
like went
wild.
I got on my bike, broke the chain, and like got lost. And then
And
I
you
had to
gotta
push
find
I had to walk
yeah.
3 miles back home because, you know, you just got into
That's just what
and no one
happens.
was worried that like, oh, Nick's missing.
I know.
He doesn't have a phone or whatever. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, that was dangerous when you consider it. And now, like,
But like you're fine, and there's everyone's fine, really.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, stepping into parenthood,
sure.
it's like, do you treat your kid in the way of like, okay, now you have a phone, I can know where you are at all times, and then like, because you have the possibility of texting. If you're not texting, then what's going on? It almost creates more of a worry.
Oh,
than
for
just
sure.
like, cool, just go run and break some chains, and then you
Yeah.
gotta walk home. Sorry, it rub a little dirt in it.
Yep.
You know,
Exactly.
it's just like, it's tough.
Yeah. And so I was talking to my mom a little bit about this, like, because her childhood would have been like, she would have been like, Michael's age during the like mid 80s. And I was like, I do envy you a little bit just because I think it would have been so sick to have made it like the entire childhood and start of my young adulthood being this free before getting in. Like, I think I was kind of the last generation I didn't have like a phone until I was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
So I was like at least somewhat mature enough that when like that technology was so brand new, it wasn't culture shifting yet.
Right.
Like I wasn't like my screen time in high school would have been 20 minutes a day.
Sure.
Like even
you can't like
texting,
watch YouTube.
like cause I'm
on,
just texting on my phone. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm listening to some
music.
Yeah, on my Beats
that's
by Dre.
pretty. Yeah. Oh, king.
Always.
But yeah, it's different. It's created a different culture, obviously.
Yeah.
But because I didn't get a phone until 8th grade, but that was more because of my parents choosing.
Sure.
And other friends had.
Yeah, because you would have
phones.
had a chance to get it for like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I would have
by
been
that
able to get it. Like, and other friends had it. And it's just like, it creates a different level of communication where I think there is the nostalgia for no phones.
Yeah.
And like, kind of just, I always think it's crazy to me how like, how do you really even plan for events? And then you can't just like cancel on people within the last 30 minutes because like, hey, I'm sick. Or you just don't show up or something? Like, how does that work? How did like, I'm not feeling good. I'm not going to meet you at dinner.
You can't
tonight.
mail them a letter.
Yeah. It's just, or I guess you could call the house and whatnot. But
Landline,
still, it's like,
that's it.
if, or you like tell someone to go there and like say like, hey, Michael's sick. He
Yeah,
won't
you'd
be
have
here
to be
tonight.
okay with waiting like 20-minute grace periods of like meeting people because you don't have instantaneous like discussion.
Reassurance. It's like a weird confidence debooster. The phone is, in that like if I'm at a table waiting for someone for 5 minutes, I'm like, where are they? What's going on?
Yeah,
and it's like
true.
Also, I need to create more patience in my life, but also it just feels it's a different thing.
It is.
I'm not like phone bad, but I think phone has changed communication, and almost to the point of like maintaining friendships. It's like, if you're not texting me, who are you? But like people like didn't text forever.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I don't hold that. I'm a terrible texter, you know? And so it's just like, how did you, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It's a nostalgia for a time I didn't know.
Yeah.
In certain respects, but other respects.
I also like respect that the time that we're in. Like every time I say I get nostalgic, like it's like the Midnight in Paris movie where it's like every era is nostalgic of an era, you know? Like there's no era of people that is like, super fond of being, you know.
Yeah.
There's always that level of, and you know, sometimes I just want to go to a Ferris wheel amusement park and see a dude play saxophone with his shirt off.
Amen. And
But like that doesn't happen nowadays.
if only
That guy's getting canceled.
Yeah. Sometimes I want to watch a vampire just absolutely rip a dude apart.
And I want to wear Sith Lord contacts and slightly turn into a vampire.
Did the makeup of those? I was a little surprised. That was good.
The practical stuff's not bad in this movie, is it?
It's not bad. I'm glad they went that way instead of like the weird, 90s or the 2000s, like, he's a vampire. But just to wrap up that like nostalgia topic, we're probably living in the best timeline.
Oh,
We're
100%.
in the best time.
Yeah.
We got it. We're fine.
Yeah.
We're totally fine.
Yep.
It's almost like information overload at the point where we're like,
No, the only thing that's super, like, the thing that I love about that era is only that time is slower than.
yeah.
It's just
But you
so
can make
fast.
time slower. You can make like separate yourself from your phone.
That's true.
We've been like doing like a full day without like
Technology.
or just like phones in general. Like maybe we'll watch a movie or a show or something like
Sure.
that. And you like just create this like slowness.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
That is good.
So,
Good lesson learned.
what other thoughts do you have on The Lost Boys? Is it just Lost Boys? The Lost Boys?
It's the Lost Boys.
Okay.
Yeah. The Lost Boys walked so Twilight could run. Hot take.
I don't think so.
Joel Schumacher went on to make the movie version of Phantom of the Opera.
Oh,
and
did he?
so it's just locked in. Like, there's nothing you can say about this movie that will ever affect me because
That makes so much sense.
this is my boy.
Wow. Yeah. If you could tell me
Yeah.
these movies are basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Except for Phantom of the Opera. What about, I haven't seen his Batman
He also
movie.
did Batman and Robin, the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger and
Ice to Meet You.
oh yeah.
I get you. I haven't seen that one.
Bro went into life and all the people saw him and said, somebody cooked here.
Yeah. And that
That's-
someone was you.
Yeah, I am the people.
Yeah.
I don't know if this type of art will ever be able to happen again because
Sure.
it got to rest on the excuse of technology isn't there yet. And the only movies I can think of that's still kind of to this, I mean, they do it way better, but like, we just aren't seeing practical effects like this anymore, except for like the Alien movies, and even that has some CGI and stuff in it that help amplify it.
It's
so
like the CGI in the background that you don't notice. Yeah, I think it's like movies are almost too polished now. Like this movie has a beauty of being unpolished.
Yeah,
And that's kind of the charm of it. Well, maybe it's not my like cup of tea where I would like, oh, this is like the sit down, like have it in the background movie. Like I think there's just like a warmth in the movie that like you can still see and enjoy. Where you bring up Nosferatu, or like if you made this exact movie, I mean, even like what It is a similar thing with like kids
It would be
with,
very
with,
similar.
with a monster.
Yeah.
That's like such a polished movie, and
yeah, I'd be curious. I mean, I could see in my lifetime them remaking The Lost Boys.
maybe I think just based off of
I want to say they
nostalgic
might
heavy,
actually already
be like working on it.
Now that I'm thinking
Pull
about
that
it,
up.
let me Google this really quick. Do you want to drop like a hot beat for a second? My dude, keep it going. Let's go. I do know that the Frog, one of the Frog brothers, did continue to make 3 sequels of The Lost Boys, but
Wait,
they're
what?
just like you don't like watch them.
What do you mean?
So there's like Lost Boys, The Thirst, like they're
Iconic.
but they do appear to be a little more like
A little too campy.
a little more smutty.
Oh, okay.
Like it looks more like, hey, I'm the Frog Bro, and here's 4 vampire women that are like dressed a little like
a little too scantily clad.
yeah. So
Oh, okay. So it's more of like I took this and made some adult films.
a little bit. That's what it feels like. I want to say I heard something about a remake, and it did star one of the kids from It,
Whoa.
the main dude.
Oh yeah. Whoever plays Billy.
I'll look it up at some point, but that could be something that's happening in the future.
Okay.
So, but knowing what'll happen is it'll probably be a TV show,
Yeah.
and it will take 6 episodes to
For them to
even
save
accomplish. We'll
'Cause
get
they're
we'll
gonna,
get
like,
to
yeah.
Sax Man like in episode 5.
Oh, and he'll-
It's
and
gonna
he'll be
take
clothed.
forever.
He'll be fully
We got to
clothed.
go through the whole divorce for 2 episodes. We gotta
So we gotta get the lore.
Gotta get the whole lore. We're gonna have like a weird dog episode where like the Pound like
Oh, yeah.
releases the dog,
Yeah.
and then he just randomly sees a guy, and then his eyes flash, and then the dog is now.
Possessed. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
possessed.
vampire.
So we have that whole thing set up, and then we have Sax Man's rise
Origin
to
story.
fame, but it's like 3 years before,
Yeah.
and how he becomes
yeah.
Sax Man, and then
And then we have them.
and
opening
then
up the
Michael
comic book
finally
short.
shows
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
that's never more apt description of modern
Yeah.
TV.
And then the end credit scene of season 1 will be David handing him a bottle of wine. He's like, "Hey, drink up, pal."
Drink up, buddy.
And then it's they'll like do a they'll do the remake of the theme song "Cry Little Sister." It's like, "Thou shalt not fall." Exactly.
Wow. I think we just wrote the season.
I
See,
wish
yeah.
I could make money doing that because
think you just
people
did.
do.
Yeah, people
And it
like-
sucks.
I think what would really flesh the story is like, why is Saxman on the beach?
Yeah.
Why is he playing there? What does? Because there's almost like
I wonder if it was just already happening. No, never mind. It was already paid. That song was in the like soundtrack.
Oh, that was
So
already
it is
a
an
song.
artist.
Oh, okay.
But I was like, I wonder if it was just straight up like happening. And they're like, let's
Wait,
just do this.
let him cook. Let him cook. Joel's like, no, let him cook.
Yeah.
I think that kind of brings up the idea of like almost the over bloating of you bring up 24 and how like it's 24 episodes, but it's crisp. Like how do you do that? And that's like
It is weird. We used to live in a day where you could tell a story that long and it was okay. Because I guess if you think about it, you're really only writing what would happen within an hour.
Yeah.
So you really just have to have enough subplots that are going on that you spend 20 minutes in each of those areas. But then we got into the era of like The Flash, where it was like 23 episodes and 6 of them were plot. And, you know, there's still some really popular like shows out there that still do that, you know, like your Grey's Anatomies and things like that, where there's like technically little stories going on throughout, but it's like, nope, that's big plot change, and we can do 3 of those like a season.
Yeah.
The rest is to make ad money.
Because even at the point of like Disney Plus making like a Kenobi or a Hawkeye or an Echo, you know, like a 10 episode season, it's like, okay, well, at the end of season 3, then you get the big, or episode 3 is when you get the big, like, oh, something's happening now.
Yeah.
So it's like, why? Like,
Yeah.
why do it's almost like the simplicity of Lost Boys streamlines it enough where it's not perfect. It's not the most fleshed out movie, but at least you kind of just like get it in and out and you're good.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, do we really need a 10-hour cinematic experience of the Lost Boys? Where it's like, we know.
It makes me wonder, like, is there a real incentive for people who make shows if they have the difference between 8 episodes and 10 episodes? Is that like an extra mil in their pocket?
I'm sure.
So like, if you're getting improperly like incentivized to drag stories out, then we're unfortunately going to be in an era where that happens. The other thing that we're running into is that like we're making these really good shows, and then we're also making everyone wait 4 years to get to the next season.
Yeah.
So it's like we got to figure something out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think it's a little
And
like we just started.
There's so much show.
Well, that's true too. Yeah, and maybe that's what they rest on is like they'll watch something else.
They just need
They'll
content.
come back.
Yeah. Where'd you guys start?
Severance.
Oh yeah.
So like Severance season 2, it's 3 years since the last season.
Wow. Yeah.
Stranger Things is going to be 3 years as well.
Yeah, but I would rather have that
You would?
than a season every year.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd rather have them sit on it and like develop it more, and I'll wait 3 years. I got a lot of other stuff
That's
that
fair.
I could watch and do.
No,
and
yeah,
read.
you're right.
Then like I'd rather you make something.
That's not the primary
good.
problem. I agree.
I think the problem is more just content over quantity over quality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, we just need 10 episodes so we can have a new banner on the front page so that someone clicks on it, they watch 4 episodes of it, they don't finish it, but they're gonna watch the next thing that we produce.
Sure.
You know, because it's just, or they throw it on in the background, or they put it on while they're scrolling through TikTok. You know what I mean? Where it's like, it almost becomes just noise.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So that's what makes these refreshing is when somebody's like, I got a 90-minute.
Yeah, I think I'm like watching a 90-minute movie is like kind of nice.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Cool. Well, thanks for going to Santa Clara with me.
Yeah.
You survived.
Yeah.
It turns out that I have 3 copies of this movie.
Oh, incredible.
So that worked out good that I was able to let you borrow one.
And
if
then
you
you
want
watch
to
one.
keep it, you can just keep it.
I don't know if I need to take that from you.
Fair.
I think you need 3 copies because what happens if you watch all 3 at the same time? Do you like
I never thought of that.
you summon
You're
David
right.
or something?
You're right.
Yeah.
I'll hang on to it for you.
I'll try that one out. Yeah, I'll just rent it from you each
There
time.
you go. But yeah, this was a special movie.
This was.
And-
I'm glad that we got to do it because I think I understand you more now. I think I need a little more Nick.
It might be time to revisit Ready Player One.
Yeah, that one I pass on. I'll watch this 10 more times before.
I thought I had you. I
No,
was like,
you did
please.
not. No. Ready Player 2?
Really?
No, it's worse.
All right. But hey, how about for the audience, though? Thanks for going with us,
Sticking with us
sticking with us.
when we stay on track. stay on topic.
I hope this episode really stakes you in the heart. You know?
Yeah.
And you gush just...
Yeah, so much blood.
Well, not blood, but just joy.
Joy. Yeah,
You
definitely.
know?
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joy blood.
There's specifically a person out there that I really hope enjoys this episode.
I really hope this stakes you.
Yeah.
Get staked.
I really hope you rethink some things.
All the texts you sent to both of us this past week.
And I hope you enjoyed us.
Not Us United.
Not Us United.
You've just listened to Not Us United. You can find us under Not Us United on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. Please leave us a review and consider subscribing to our podcast. You can reach out for future podcast topic suggestions at notusunitedpod@gmail.com.